Tonight, I think most people actually know me, more or less, a little bit at least. Some of you do. Okay, before we start, I'll just give you some background on me. I've been in Malta for 5 years now, actually 5.5 or something. I came here in 2009 with Bigpoint, and 2 years later then I started to kind of my own company, and I've been working on that, and it all took me much longer than I had actually anticipated, of course. But now finally we're getting there, getting our stuff together, and producing our next game, the first one for Dorado. And I'm going to talk a bit about it today. I'm going to show you some. I have some beta keys here for you guys, if somebody wants them. I'll just hand them out later to anyone who wants. Yep, and that's in a nutshell what it's about. I'm also going to be talking a bit about the development process. I don't know how much time we have, like half an hour-ish? Okay, good. Right, let's just start off with the presentation. Okay, can everybody see? Everything good? Maybe we want to turn on the lights slightly, is that possible? Let me just... Everybody fine with that? Okay, cool. Okay, so now I think it's quite clear what the game is about. The game is developed by us, Dorado Online Games, but then again we are actually using an external studio. I'll come to that later. The development is being routed to Malta though. I'm located here. Can we have this widescreen, or is this 3 to 4? Actually, is there a widescreen mode? Can we? Because it's a bit condensed right now. The controls. There's the controls. Ah, yeah, much better. Okay, it's not perfect. Cool. All right. So, don't know if any one of you knows this quite famous picture by Jerome. Has anybody seen it before? Yep. This picture is from 1872. It's a very famous picture drawn by, I believe, actually a French painter by the name of Jerome. It's called Pollice Verso, the turned thumb. And it was one of the main inspirations for the movie Gladiator in 2000. This is, according to Ridley Scott, what set him off kind of on a journey. He saw that and bought it, basically. Now, this is us. I think you can recognize the stance. Obviously we're missing the nice background, but that's our tier 1 arena. So obviously we have like advancing tiers of arenas in the game. So this is how you start, with like the bear looking down on you, somewhere in the outskirts of the empire. Just some impressions of the game itself. This is obviously in mid-action. You can tell that guys been hit pretty badly. This is a tier 3 arena, as you can see, obviously quite different from the wooden stuff we saw earlier. All of this has been done in Unity 3D. The 2D part, the management part, I think everyone is well familiar with skill trees that you can advance, stuff like that. You can tell in the equipment that this is already quite an advanced gladiator. And what we're actually doing is we're taking a management type game, sort of like a football manager in ancient Rome, putting it into a different setting, which is obviously the arena, and adding a spice of action to it. Though, and this is a very important part, without the player really fighting, meaning that, you know, if you want a swiping game or an action game that you can play with a controller or something, you have to look somewhere else. This game is more about planning your strategy, leveling up your guys, and influencing crowd and monetizing the whole system essentially, then I'm really fighting. But you can watch your fights in 3D, and that's really the big thing about it. Our platforms are right now browser. We're actually, initially we already planned in a mobile version. So we developed this on 2 SKUs essentially. We have the mobile version, everything, all the art assets, all the animations, all of that stuff. Even parts of the UI are already geared towards mobile release. So we always had that in mind as a cross-platform title. The technology that we're using, I already mentioned Unity 3D. We have SmartFox Server as a backend, working quite well. PHP obviously has been quite a lot. And then as a metrics tool, one thing that is really nice to look at if you're interested in stuff like that is Delta DNA. So they are our metrics suppliers. We just plug them in. We obviously attach them into literally thousands of points into the game, and then we have enough data to read out and figure out and scratch our heads about. Target audience for the game clearly is our core players. Now we label this as a mid-core game. The reason for this is actually because we're on platforms that are not core platforms. We're not on a PlayStation, we're not like on a client-based PC game or something, but actually we're targeting core players that kind of want to play on the side, or just want to play in intervals, because this is a type of game, the way that we've concepted it, that you can actually play consistently, but it doesn't have like a storyline, or it's something that repeats itself, so you will probably play it for half an hour, and then come back to it maybe a few hours later. You can play it while you're working. Yeah, I do. Actually, I work on Excel stuff, I work my mails, I do my localization, I work on the game design, and then once in a while I kind of look over and click on the gladiator and kick him into the arena. And then obviously age rating is 16 plus. My 5-year-old son loves the game, but I've actually only seen it once. It was a mistake. Now he always wants to see it, but it's really not. We don't have dismemberment or stuff like that, but still it's quite visceral, and people can die. I'll come to that later, but we've got a permadeath feature in there. People die, people get executed in the arena. So this is something that we don't want to show your kids, maybe. Depends. And the release date is going to be in 2 weeks' time. This is what we're working for. Management, key features, thousands of players, we're an MMO. You advance your school, your house, your ludus, whatever you want to call it. We have leagues. We have a very interesting dual combat system that I'll explain in a minute. And obviously we have a market. Anyone who's played football management type of games, it's always fun to kind of check out the market, see if there's fresh talent. In our case, it's actually fresh meat because they come and go. Usually they go into the arena alive and they come out dead often enough. So it doesn't matter. You just want to have the best guys. We have 10 levels that you advance through. We have quite an interesting system because with each gladiator that you send into the arena, you have a fan base attached to that. That fan base is essentially the experience of your house. Imagine you have 10 gladiators, each gladiator has 10 fans, that would make 100 fans. These 100 fans would be like 100 experience points for your house, your ludus, driving you forward. If the guy dies, the fans go away, they leave you, and that means that you would actually slip down, or at least retain your tier, and would have to kind of build up your fans again. So you're not only putting into the line your gladiator, but you're also putting in line the time that you've invested with the guy, which kind of makes the difference when you're fighting to kind of really fever along with the guy to not let him die and actually defeat the opponent. So this is very hardcore, obviously. We've got 4 historic classes that are actually, according to history, pretty much at least. We took some freedom. For instance, we gave the Retiarios the helmet, but I'll show you that later. We have 10 levels of experience for the guys. We have premium and normal states. We have premium and normal equipment. We have literally thousands of combinations that we can put together if you want to. We have, out of these 4 classes and 10 levels have individual items that you can customize and decide on what type of weapon you want to choose and what kind of armor. And it gets more opulent, of course. And we have leaderboards and leagues, and even a hall of heroes for your fallen and your friends fallen, so you can check out, who's bit the dust. Sometimes that list is much longer than the active gladiators, but that's the way it goes. The important part here is actually having leagues, sort of like in League of Legends, so you can actually participate and push yourself in leagues, and then get rewards when you hit the top leagues. Get really like the top tier equipment, level 10 equipment. The best stuff that you can get in the game is actually available through the leagues as a non-monetized free feature. Because we're free to play, meaning that we monetize features such as weapons, items, gladiators, but we're trying to keep the pay-to-win faction at bay. We're trying to reduce that as much as possible, meaning that we, for instance, do not encourage buffing for money or stuff like that. Actually, if you fight against a premium gladiator, you will notice that there will be free gladiators that have exactly the same specs, or even sometimes better. It can happen. Of course, they're in the top brackets, but it doesn't mean that they're totally uber or something. That's not the case. It's very important to us to kind of keep that in line. And stuff like leveling up your guys and all of that stuff is free. So slots are available for free. They just cost more and more, but it's available. You can actually do it. So the game is fully accessible for free and playable for free and enjoyable for free. It's very important. Then in combat, combat is works actually in 2 ways. Anyone who's played a role-playing game knows how games actually are split into turns, and then you go through different roles and chances within each turn to hit chances, parry chances, defense chances, and all of that is then put together, attached to animations and forms combat. Now in our game, the way it works is that if the matchmaker puts you together with an opponent, your actual combat is predetermined, calculated, and then shown like in a movie essentially to you and someone else, your opponent. And over that, we have a quick time event-driven, skill-driven system that allows you to influence, once your character activates a special skill, or the opponent does, you will see like a quick time bar, and you will be able to influence this. And the better you do in the quick time events, the more fans you will gain. So essentially you have a deadly combat, which is predetermined to keep it fair, so that people that are better in fighting don't have a better chance actually in winning, because that's one of the important parts in football management games. You don't want someone who actually is really good at FIFA, what is the new one, 15, kicking you about all the time when you actually want to play a management type of game, right? But you actually want to plan out and advance and invest and check out and do all of that stuff and retain a fair chance. But on top of this, now what you're doing is you're playing against a human opponent in quick time matches, vying for fans. And as I explained to you, the fans are actually what drives the long year Ludos, so this is very important. But it doesn't influence the actual combat that is displaying in front of you. So no matter how fast you click, it won't change the way that your character is fighting. but it will influence the way that you will make money and, of course, gain fans. So this is, in fact, it fits really beautifully to the setting, and that's actually how we invented it, because we were looking for ways of getting more show into this, because gladiators didn't just fight for the kill. Many people believe that there were big bunches of gladiators all hacking and slashing at each other like displayed so often in the movies, but in reality that was not the case. In reality, these people were well-trained, highly professional athletes that were announced early, advertised, and anticipated by the crowd the whole day, and they were basically the pinnacle of a day at the circus, right? Before that, you had your mass executions, the animal hunts, and all of the niceties that we all know. But the real highlight of a day at the games was actually a one-on-one between two classes of gladiators that were very formal, sort of like sports today, like boxing or just with deadly outcome, and a lot of show. They liked to not really kill each other, because that would have been very expensive, but they actually tried to create a lot of blood flow and live, understandably. That was the business. And then if the people liked what they saw, if there was enough blood, they gave you the thumbs up, right? Even as a loser. So this is what happens in our game as well. I think I've explained it. These are the typical cycles that we have in the game. We have two splits. We have management and we have combat. Then, of course, we have social play. Our social play is not as in social games on Facebook or something. This is much more driven towards clans and teams, but this is something that we're actually implementing in the open beta phase, because we have a clear development path set for advancing this into cooperative multiplayer, which it is not at the moment. Right now we have a one-on-one PvP situation, and I definitely, and we all agree, want to drive that into a co-op PvP/PvE situation scenario. Explained about monetization, that's pretty clear. The technology, for anyone who wants to know more about our technology, I mean, please approach me, and if it goes into the very nitty-gritty details, I'd be happy to kind of, put you in touch with people like my CTO, who can answer you the real detailed questions, because I'm not a technical guy, I'm a designer. Right. Yep, that's Simon down there is the CTO. Jeje is my project manager / producer, and then it's me, so I'm the game director essentially. This is stuff that we worked on, Fast Furious, Ongoing, Battlestar Galactica. Jeje is from a company in Poland that we work with. They're called Games Factory or Fabryka Gier. I'm very happy with them. They're an external developer. They do games as a service for us. But I'm very, very happy with them. They have got a very big track record with companies like Disney, Vuga, and others. Which they have very impressive artists next to others. It's quite interesting to see what comes out of Poland at the moment, both from games as well as from a movie side. The company Stillfront is essentially the company that just bought Dorado Games, me, and they brought the money to the whole thing, because without that we wouldn't have been able to do it. A game like this costs around 500,000 euros, if you're lucky. And then of course, after that, live development, which again, has a running cost attached to it, but then it depends very much also, you want to scale it according to your success. So, if you make millions, and you can hire enough people to kind of grow it exponentially if you want to. If not, then you have to be a bit more on the cautious side and not overdo it. But that's the next step is essentially once we go live is then assess the situation, look at the KPIs, look at the way that the game is making money, and then start building up a team here in Malta. Originally consisting of approximately 5 to 10 people, and then seeing where we go. Initially more like 5, and then ramping up if necessary. But then of course Simon and I will be here as well, and potentially even more, because in total I'm seeing an initial startup team of about 5 to 10 people. Okay, so that's actually the presentation that I've had. And then of course, to show you the fun part, I brought you the first trailer. Now, can I turn this off?
Yes, we are.
Now what does it tell you? It tells you that I'm a lousy director and a really bad voice talent. Because of course this is not a real trailer. It just shows you how they work.
Will to fight. To become the next champion. Or die trying. For this is their fate.
These are the things that you normally don't see from games companies.
Gladiators
Is that
death before
That's
us.
not really centered, is it? I did that, I think, at 1 in the morning. I was throwing this stuff together because we were looking for companies that are doing a trailer professionally, of course. And I wanted to give them some moods to kind of, put them in the idea of what we actually want, what is achievable. Because we don't have 50,000 euros for a CG trailer or something like that. We can't afford that, right? We're talking about less than a tenth of that, right? So we have to kind of tell the guys, okay, because if you have visual dudes, they will always come in and yeah, and then we have these awesome vistas, and we will have this, and you're like, yeah, but we've got 2 weeks, 3K, and they're like, oh. Let's think about this. Can we make it a 10-second spot? No. And then you have to come up with something so that they kind of, they get the mood and understand what you're talking about. And yeah. So, yeah, I'm excited to actually wait for the first iteration of the real trailer, because we've got people working on it that used to work for Platij. I don't know if you know the guys from Poland that did like Paths for Page, and others working also for CD Projekt and others. So we've got some pretty cool people actually working on it, and of course it will be basically 2D with some particles and blah, and a nice voice actor. We've got Mark Morris, who's a really nice voice actor, doing some extremely strange stuff with his voice, but it's going to be cool. And if it works, I can show you some parts of the game. Just it, and that would be essentially it. It's a German keyboard. That's the real one.
How long have you been working on this game?
I've been working on it for approximately a year. The development time has been less, so we started developing it, coding it. Can't get it to load from here. I think the firewall is probably something that's going on with the internet here. Can you play games normally from here?
Yes, it should be able to browser games.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Okay. Anyway, we can know it's
Now let's go to the page and log in the game.
Yeah, the game has been in development since, in coding development since November. But that's really the, yeah, of course, I mean, we had, you know, lots of design and stuff before that. Okay, let me see. Yep, that's good. Okay, what I can show you here is the Empire map. As you can see here, you can kind of zoom around the Empire map, zoom in, zoom out. We even got Malta down here. It's very important. My house is called Stella Maris. I think right now I'm actually leading the leagues. And in the leaderboards, my guys are. Whoa! What? Somebody? House Janus again. What? Wow. That's a challenge. Take up that challenge. Okay. As you can see here, actually, my guys are. They have a lot of broken equipment. We have, similar to a role-playing game, we have a setup here. I don't know why this is taking so long, but it should be quick. I have my experience, my stats. I have skills that I can assign. I've assigned 3 skills to this guy already. I have my inventory. I can actually prepare this stuff here. This is Gertios. I think he's my top gladiator right now. If I look at his attributes, he's got 113 fans. That's pretty cool. My health is fit. So why don't I take Gertios for a spin? Let's see. I have different arena contracts. I can decide on arenas right now. I go for a low risk one with this guy because I would hate to lose him. Actually, I go for this. No, I go for low risk. Better. Because again, up here, as you can see, Stella Maris, I've got 275 fans right now. I need 700 to gain level 3. If this guy dies, 113 of those will go away. That's not good. I definitely don't want that to happen. So, just see if I can find someone. Right now, the matchmaker works in a way that we have half a minute of searching for someone. If I find someone right now, that the limited number of players is very low. We basically have about 20 to 40 people playing this game. So right now, chances are I will not find anyone, especially not on my level. If that happens, after half a minute, he will actually propose to me, as he does right now, that I may want to play with a computer. I don't have to. I can continue looking for a human opponent for like the next 5 minutes or something. But at any minute, I can decide to join, and then you should take me to Rome in the next seconds, hopefully. Hello, somebody home? Hello. So we have these guys fighting against each other. Lutz Magnus is supplying Aquilo, who's a Thracian. I can see that in the class up here. He's got the curved blades. These are ugly guys. They're very, very bad. They're usually counter strong, which my only chance, actually, my only hope is that I invest him in endurance. Because the guy that I'm fighting with, Gertios, is a Momillo. He's a def type, more like, think of a tank, but not really a tank. He's a defensive type of guy. 7 fans because it performed well, he do extremely well as well. If this was a human and he would have a special effect, a special move, he would then counter. So we're actually stealing fans from each other. And it is if it would be a human, I can chat with him down here. I can insult him. I can harm him. So you can see we're quite visceral and we're definitely nothing for EA or so. And if he does the same, I will hear him. If he taunts me, I will hear his stuff. I have 2 different voices right now. They're not yet balanced, so they're quite low. Shit. Dude! Please, dude! At least don't kill me, right? Okay, good. Now comes the bad part, actually, for me. I'm this guy here. Please! Oh. I can cope with, I can cope with defeat. But seeing the guy slaughtered, that's really frustrating. Especially against AI. That's very and in a nutshell, that's the game. That's basically it now. The guy is injured, he's lost morale, so actually I have to probably go to the market, take a look at the courtesans. Here we have streetwalkers here that we just get employed this girl. Send him to the sanitarium. Where's my guy here? Gertius, you poor sucker. Come on here. Have a talk to her. Maybe a stimulating conversation, huh? Okay. Or an inspiring liaison. Okay. Go ahead, come on. Okay, let's get his morale up again. He just lost the fight.